In today's video I'm going to talk to you about telling a story with one single image, and it's one of the most difficult things about photography, at least that's my opinion. And my friend Christian that I was chatting with told me today, why don't you do a video about that? And I was like, yeah, it's actually a pretty cool idea. So we made a little arrangement. I added a couple of images from him and a lot of images from myself, and I'm just going to show you how you can do it with a subject, and I'm also going to give you some examples about if you leave a subject out, so you can see what a subject can do to make a story in an image. So let's quickly dive into this video, and hopefully it will give you some helpful tips for the future. So this is the first image that I'm going to show you. What the funny thing about this image is that I've used these wooden structures as a sort of a story. These look like little monsters fighting together, and that's one of the things you can do to create a little story, to play to people's imagination about what am I seeing, what am I looking at. And in this case it's just these little monsters. So with this image, it's actually all about your imagination. It's a man on a horse, it's a lot of fog around it, and you have no idea where that is, what it is, where's this man going to, what's the condition, what's the story behind it. It's working on your imagination. You can make your own story by looking at this picture. That's always a powerful thing, just to, sorry for that, just to just play to the mind of people. That always works. So this is actually shot in Indonesia on the Bromo volcano, and these people were just helping tourists to walk around, and it was so foggy there that you couldn't see anything, but actually in the background there is a huge volcano if the fog would have cleared. So that's the real story behind this image. In this image, it's all about the storm. I wanted to show people the conditions I was shooting this tree, and I could have shot it after the storm, but it wouldn't have been that great. So I just used this lamp behind the tree to enhance all the snowfall coming down. And you can see by the little bit too long exposure, I think it was a half a second exposure, that the snow was really blowing into this scene, and it just creates the feeling that you're walking in a storm. And that's what I wanted to do with this specific image. This is actually a real fun image, because this is something that plays to your mind. It's, what am I looking at? Is this a sunrise or sunset? Where is it? Is it a mountain? Is it a mirror on a lake? But actually it's something totally different. But the image keeps playing in your head, and you can think of multiple stories that run through this. But what this actually is, this is a scene from the Antelope Canyon in Arizona in the United States, and it's actually shot straight up into the air, so you're looking outside of the canyon, and that's just a little scene that I noticed above me. But yeah, if you look straight forward, the canyon looks like this, but if you just look up, then the canyon just it looks like this. And it's a real fun image that plays with your mind, that gives a story to people's imagination. This is another fun story. When I saw this image, I quickly got my camera and shot it. You can think of multiple stories here. Is the giraffe driving the car? Is there a traffic jam because a giraffe on the road? And I immediately had to think about the movie The Hangover, where they are driving around with this giraffe in the car, and then it accidentally hits a bridge. But that didn't happen to this giraffe, so that's for sure. But it's just a real fun image, and it just shows that what Africa is, wildlife stops the traffic. So this is an image from my friend Christian, and it just plays to your imagination. This is the guy sitting in the boat. I think he is steering the boat, but I don't even know which way the boat is going, if it's going to the front or the back. But in my imagination, this guy is having the rudder in his hand, and he's guiding the boat towards where they are going. But it's a beautiful light, and there's a nice atmosphere in this image, and it's just, you have no idea where it is. He told me it was in Gambia, and it's just a boat, but you can tell thousands of stories by just this image. This is another one from Christian, where you can see these I think it's fishermen. They are working on something, but it's just a really nice story. You can think of all these stories. Are these guys waiting for the boat? Are they working here? There's one guy sitting there. There are multiple boats in the background. So these are the kind of images that you can create, yeah, to work on people's minds. And this is another one, and I really found this picture pretty interesting actually, because it's a little boat with two people on it on the ocean, and you can see that it's an African boat or something. And in the right corner here in the bottom you can still see the railing. So I don't know, is this photo taken from a ship, or is this boat taken from the beach where just a fence was standing or anything? But in my imagination it can be anything. It can be shot from some sort of cruiser or tanker ship, and these are some hijackers coming towards it with a little boat. So you can have all these little stories from a single image. So I really liked this one. So I didn't even ask him where it was, but if you want to see some of his pictures, he's a really nice guy. His name is Christian, and I'll put a link in the description to his Instagram. So have a look if you want to. But this is one of my images. Again, this is from Africa. In the morning we just drove there, and there was this group of lions laying on the street, and it's just working to your imagination. What is going on here? Why are these animals sitting on the street here? It's a real foggy condition, and I just really like this image. You can clearly see that we were driving towards them, and at first when we drove there, I thought there were a lot of rocks laying on the ground, and when we approached, we actually saw that those were lions. So they stood up, and some of them went to the left, some of them went to the right. But it's just a fun image that yeah, can have a lot of multiple stories in your mind. So this is an example of how you can use animals in your image. So these are just two lions in Namibia, and you can tell the story and think about, what are they doing here? Are they just lying here? Are they a couple, or are they brother and sister? You just have no idea. But then they're standing up, and you have this idea like, okay, they are coming together. What's going on here? And in the last image, this is clearly what the story is. You can see this is a couple. They are making some babies here, and yeah, it's just a really nice moment, and this symbolizes what was going on there. These first two images, yeah, were just two lions, but this image, this is what the story brings. Let's take a little break from this video. It will continue after this, but I just want to ask you, a while ago I did a video about editing your images, and yeah, I got some really nice responses on that, and I want to do something similar in a couple of weeks from now. So I want to ask you if you have some images for me, but this time I want to ask you to edit them yourself. So show me your finished results, and I will just look at them, give you my review, tell you some tips and tricks, or maybe I won't have to do it at all because you have some amazing images, and I will just show them on this channel. So yeah, if you would like that, if you want to participate in this video, then please send me your images. You can do it through Instagram Messenger, Facebook Messenger, send me a mail through my website, or just email me info@guidovanderwater.nl, and yeah, we will get in touch and send me the files through WeTransfer, and you will see your image in that video. So let's continue this video. So, and now I've got a couple of images to show you what happens if you get rid of a subject and put it in. So you can see the difference between without a subject and with a subject. So this first image, it's just Fish River Canyon in Africa, and as you can see, there's no scale, there's no story here. It's just a canyon. It's really dull, nothing going on here. But when I added my lovely wife here from the back, it just tells a story. It tells a story about a woman looking over this land here. What is she thinking about? Of course, she's thinking of her lovely husband. At least that's what I'm thinking. But well, but you can really get into her head and think about, wow, look at that view. And in the first image, there was nothing to work on your imagination. Now this is an image again. A really dull image, nothing going on here. I turned it to black and white, but the original image actually included my son, which was pointing to me in which direction we had to drive when we were getting back from this little hill here. And I just really like this image. It works to your imagination. The little story of this little man telling his dad where to go, and that works in this image. Here's another one from a mysterious forest, just a forest with some light rays. But if you add the cycler back into this image, it just tells a story of someone driving through a lonely road in the forest, in this mysterious forest, and it just adds a story to an image. So just a little subject can really change a normal bush scene into a story bush scene. So this is a really recent image. I was standing here at this house shooting this scene here, and I just thought to myself, oh, what is this path? Are the people walking towards the house here? What's going on here? Is it like wildlife? And seconds later, this huge hare just ran towards me, and he stopped in the middle of this path. And I just knew this adds to the image. You can see it here in the bottom, the hare, and it just works to your imagination. It tells a story about this path is used by animals to run over and towards this house. So it really worked for me. So here's a shot of Namibia. This is Etosha Pan in Etosha National Park, and I just loved how you can see these heat waves in the background. But there's no story in this image. But if you just add those oryxes back into this image, it just tells a story about animals searching for water on the side of this salt plan in the heat with those heat waves in the background. It just immediately gives a kind of a feeling to an image. And that's what I'm always trying to look for. And it doesn't happen that often to me. It's a really difficult thing to find those images. But if you do find them, it really works if you can add a little story to an image. Just like this waterfall in Austria. I've walked around this waterfall for ages, trying to find a shot. I just couldn't find it. I think this was my best shot towards it. But it's just a dull waterfall. This is another angle, which is pretty good, but it doesn't tell a story. It still is a waterfall, and you have no idea how big this waterfall is. But when you put my family back in, at the bottom, you can see that this story, this image is coming to life. It's telling a story. It's telling how huge this waterfall is. It's showing a family, so you can have your imagination. Is this a couple with its son? In this case, it's my wife with my son and his grandfather. But there is a story to the image, and that's what you have to look for. That's what gets into people's mind. That's when you start reminding images. Another one, and this is actually a pretty bad shot, but it's just a nice example of what it can have an impact of. This is just a beach in Namibia. It's called the Skeleton Coast, and it could have been any beach in the world, but this is known for shipwrecks sinking on this case, and it's pretty rough sea. But if you add back the boat, then you can see that it immediately works. You can immediately see this is the Skeleton Coast. This is where those boats are, and it's actually a really crap image because this boat had to be on the left side to make the composition a lot better, but I wasn't that good at the time I took this image. But it's a nice story to this image, and you can ask yourself, how did this boat end up here? What happened to those fishermen? Did they die? Whatever thing you can imagine, it's in this image. Here, this is another great shot, what a subject can do to one single image. This is just a road at sunset. Could have been anywhere in the world. But if you add the subject back into this image, you can see that this kudu, it only lives in Africa. So this has to be a shot from Africa. So, and that's what I like about images like this. And it's from a really long time ago, this image, but it was a really remarkable moment. It's in Kruger National Park, just driving in the morning, and I think later that morning we actually saw those lions also, so this was phenomenal. Another example, just like the bicycle earlier, it's just a path through a forest, a really dark forest, but if you add myself back in, it just adds a little story about what's this man doing here. He's just standing there and thinking, wow, what is this amazing forest? But it adds to the story, and it works on your imagination, and that's what I always try to look for. And you can use people, you can use animals, you can use buildings, you can use vehicles, you can use whatever you want. just to add to the story. And even like a foggy scene can be a story of its own, or a flower in bloom with a flower next to it that's already out of its blooming phase. It all can create little stories. And this is actually a real funny one, how you can see what details can do to to tell a story. So this is just a foggy road somewhere. It can be a story of its own, like what's behind here, or what's going on all around here. But in my I actually cloned away this guy that's running here. So I included the guy, but it doesn't tell a story that this man is running there. So it could be that this guy was just walking with his arms a little bit wide or anything. It doesn't tell a story. But in the second shot, you can see that the ponytail of this girl is going up, which definitely tells that this girl is running, because then this ponytail would go up. And it just tells the story of a runner through a foggy road. So just that ponytail makes the story completely different, or completely come to life. And those details, that's the funny thing. Here there's a storm approaching the land, and you can see that the subject, I erased it from this shot just to show you the difference. But if you look at the shot like this, it's a storm coming towards the land, and that's the story of this image. But if I put the subject back, and that's the little boat here, you can see that the image completely changes around, because it's not the storm going towards the land, it's the boat going into the storm. So the feeling of the story of this image is totally different. And yeah, I really like this image personally. This photo is from last week's video, and that actually really connects well to this video, because I said that I would clone out the people in this image, but I didn't. And this is what the image would have looked like if I cloned away the people standing in this image. It's just a road in Tuscany at sunset. Really nice image, but there's not a real story in this image. But if I put the people back in this image, you can see this couple in the foreground here. It is a story. You know, what happened here? Did this guy just propose to this woman? Were they just so lucky that they were standing here? Did she just tell him that she was expecting a baby? You can have all kinds of stories because of these two people standing in this image, and they just really added to this image, and that's why I didn't delete them. So I'll show you again. This is what it would have looked like without the people, which I first said I would do in the last Sunday's video. I'll put a link up here if you haven't seen it yet. But when I was editing it, I was thinking to myself, no, these people make the story of this image. Yeah, this is the last image. Another road through the forest, a mysterious road, but it's just me and my son that were standing in there. That just makes this image. And I think I posted this image on Instagram and Facebook, and until now it's the most liked image that I ever posted on internet. So I just really love this image. It's in my home also, and it just tells a story of his father with his son walking through a really great mysterious forest. Yeah, and I just like that. That's what I wanted to talk to you about today, and I hope you got some inspiration and some ideas for your own trips on how you can look for these things. And these don't happen daily, you know, but if things like this happen, you can hopefully see what a story can bring, an add to an image. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you, and yeah, I just hope you will like it. So if you like this video, don't forget, push the thumbs up button, and there's a little subscribe button underneath this video. If you push it and select the little notification bell, you will get a message when I release my next video. So on Sundays, it's always on location videos, and I'll recommend you to look at this Sunday's video, because it's going to be an epic video, at least that's my opinion, and some really great images in that one. And yeah, on Thursdays, images of videos like this, where I talk to you about photography stuff, yeah, reviews, tips and tricks, yeah, I don't know, all kinds of stuff. So hope you like this video, and I hope to see you next week. So thanks for watching. Bye bye.